Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Kate McKay. But first, let me just give you a little rundown on who she is and what we're going to talk about. We almost gave you a boob shot earlier.
We did. Mine and hers. I was following her lead though. Linda led it with the boob shot. So I was just joining.
Just to clarify, it's those moments when you're trying to adjust the camera and you don't realize what it's capturing.
Exactly. It was that. It was good. It was quite bountiful.
Oh my gosh, you guys, you got to have a little fun in life, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So today, Kate, I want to introduce Kate first before I get into what our topic is about. She was my very first podcast guest ever. And her episode is like my largest downloaded ever because it was the first. So everybody has to go back and hear the first one.
Yep.
Well, Kate McKay is, can you believe this, a high energy, results-oriented success coach. She also coaches business, and she's a motivational speaker and the best-selling author of Living Sexy Fit at Any Age. She is the executive entrepreneur and ACE-certified fitness and health coach. She is also a public advocate for holistic wellness, physical, spiritual, and financial. Kate is a survivor. This I could attest to. She grew up in a large family with a scarcity mentality. She survived the tragic murder of her brother, a devastating divorce, and Kate recently lost her eldest son and has learned to live her life with a new spirituality and purpose. Kate provides enhanced support for hundreds of individual clients and leaders and business groups. She specializes in service-centered work that includes grief and loss support, and also creating financial and emotional health and wealth, and physical well-being with a focus on living a life of integrity. And integrity is the word, I'll tell you guys. Integrity is the word. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we're going to talk about, it's not too late. If you didn't jump on the bandwagon on January 1st, you didn't miss it. The year's not going to go on without you. You can jump on today and learn how to support yourself to reach your goals and your ambitions and your wildest dreams. Without further ado, I want to welcome the one, the only Kate McKay to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here. And I remember that first call. We were just plowing through that. There was some really good content to that. And, I guess mostly it's like what a journey you and I have shared parallelly. Right. And so super powerful. So congratulations to you and all your successes as well. So you're my champion.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Living like a champion isn't always easy, you guys, because sometimes you fall off the horse and you got to get back up. And it's hard. It's not that easy sometimes when you get knocked off.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a really important point for a big way. And especially people who view, Linda, you and I'm sure like myself, that things come easy to us, right? That, we look a certain way, we compete in fitness and we're in a bikini and all this whole, like they are just so confident. I could never be them. Right. So it's that experience that I think a lot of people feel with other successful people. They view us as something other than. And I think that being humbled, particularly with the loss of my son, really made me, put me in a place of reframing. And I think the biggest thing is that as a coach, I create like this something called an IT statement. And it helps people really define what is their driver, what motivates them to move forward based on their true values, not somebody else's, not your mother's, not your father's, not your sister. What is truly in here? And when people get that sentence, they're like, I make them read it out loud a bunch of times. And I'm like, how does that resonate? Tears, laughter, that bubbling up of what's true and essential to who you are. And I did the same exercise, and mine was to live powerfully with courage and enthusiasm. That's just me. I'm like, if I have to, I can do it. I have a will to love and to experience life really deeply. And little did I know that I was going to have to deal with grief in those words. And you know what, Linda? If there was a way to live powerfully with courage and enthusiasm in the grief and the loss of my son, I was going to find a way. And that's really what I've been doing. It wasn't a time for me to hide. If I was this person that everyone's like, Katie's so positive, she's so this, she's so that. Well, how am I going to be able to show up and be authentic in my grief, the profoundest loss of a child through suicide? And, you know, if there was a way, I was going to do it. And that's what motivates and drives me every day, to still live powerfully with courage and enthusiasm, even in the darkest times.
And also, I think, what was that? Was it your dog?
No.
Did you hear it?
No. Oh, divine dogs.
It was crazy.
Wow.
It'll be on the podcast.
Everyone's going to go, what?
Oh my gosh. So what we're talking about here is life. Life happens, and you get to choose how you show up to it.
Absolutely.
And how you navigate it, regardless of circumstances. You can still show up in a positive way.
And loving yourself, right? Like, and I think that's an important piece, is that so much of us are filled with self-doubt, self-loathing, and feeling shame around our experiences. And I think that, who am I to hide? Like, I can, you know, we can be positive role models when things are going good. You know, I built a multi-million-dollar company, you know, I'm fit, all these things, but I've gone through struggle. And in order to tear down that veil of really living authentically, I had to still show up when I am crawling through the grief to say, this is what it looks like, people. This is what it looks like to be real, and to not be fearless, to be vulnerable. That is not a comfortable state. I just, you know, even though I'm very public and people know who I am, I'm extraordinarily private. And I think that was absolutely the most challenging, and, may I add, freeing part of this process. You know, well, I feel more free than I ever have in my life, honestly.
I think when you're a helper and you like to help people, you're used to showing up as the strong one.
Right.
And you don't know how to show up any other way. So sometimes you know, people go inward and they don't show up at all because they can't show up the way they're used to showing up.
Exactly. That's an extremely good point. And then on the flip side of that is, what is strength? You know, we can, you know, let's just throw that on the table. How do you define strength? As you know, I know your listeners are a diverse population, but how do you define it? You're in charge. I mean, that's the reason why I wrote the book, Living Sexy Fit, because it's about lighting up that inner power. Sexy isn't about Victoria's Secret. Sexy is about like that juice inside of you, that drive, that feeling that you know that there's more, that you have more to express. And in what ways are you showing up? In what ways are you playing small in aspects of your life? Whether it's a half-assed relationship, whether it's, you know, crappy relationships with your kid, accepting a job that sucks, you know, or like settling in other ways spiritually. Like, how deep is your relationship with your source? And I think that's what goes back to like this whole idea about goal setting, right? Part of it's like, part of it's sort of like an illusion, like our ego is saying, set a goal, setting goal. But let's just stop it. Time out. What is important to you? And really, truthfully, what's important, right? And then how are you going to move into that experience, that feeling? Because if your heart isn't following the tracks, you're not going to get there. You know, it has to be authentic to really who you are and how you want to feel. And if these relationships and other things around you are not lining up with that feeling, I love you and I need to move on to this place because I'm called here to do greater things. And I think that's the hardest part is letting go of pieces that no longer work and surrounding yourself with a tribe of people that are going to hold a higher watch for you to be all you came here to be. And it has to become non-negotiable, Linda. That's the bottom line. You know, what are you willing to just burn the ships and move forward into that power and grace?
You're saying burn the ships again.
Burn them.
Well, Well, I think what lights you up inside is a good indicator. And if you're not feeling motivated to get out of bed in the morning, or you're not happy,
right.
Maybe you are achieving all of your goals, but your relationship sucks.
Right, exactly.
And so that just sucks the life out of you. And so you're miserable. How is that success, right? You have to
absolutely.
Your life is a full circle, and each piece is important. So you can't ignore one piece and expect to be happy in the other. It's got to be like, I'm not going to say balance, because I think sometimes you're going to get an illusion. Something else. Yeah. I'm not going to say that word. No.
No.
But I said that word.
We get sold that. We get sold that that's a real thing. It's not, it's not. Life is messy, and it's not balanced. And there's moments where you're just going to be like, oh, I cannot handle all this. And there are other times you're like, I want more, right? So it's weaving through the beauty of the mess. It's a mess.
And feel, sometimes you may feel inauthentic if you're going through something. I mean, like, it's like me trying to empower women, right? But not being empowered myself.
Right. Yes.
So sometimes you keep getting a lesson over and over because you need to address it. And I was listening, to my Audible, just making sure that, it's up online now. And I was making sure, like, when the guy put it in, everything sounded okay.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to it, and boy, did my own book spoke to me. I was like, oh my gosh, where am I not living in integrity with myself?
Right. Exactly.
Right? Because I think that's the most important integrity to have, is the integrity with yourself. Where are you, diminishing yourself? Where are you not showing up as yourself because it threatens somebody else? Like, where are you not shining your light? Where are you dimming yourself down,
Right. Yep. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the coolest thing about my work. And I'm sure you probably say the same thing, is that how cool is it that we get to partner up with people in their biggest fear and self-doubt, and to be a powerful mirror and be able to say, look at you. Like, I'm just a mirror to your greatness. That's it. I'm a mirror. And I think that for a long time as a coach, this is for real, it was the most difficult part, was realizing that it wasn't necessarily that these relationships were not necessarily about me. They were about being a powerful mirror and understanding that people were going to leave me, quote unquote, leave me, and move along into their journey. And so I'm just a conduit. Right, exactly. It's like they're here to come through me, and how to do that with grace. That was a big challenge for me, and particularly at the beginning of really when my when I built the company and became more successful, and people's perceptions of me were a little bit different, and relationships around me were changing, and trying to navigate what truly is a high integrity friendship and relationship. And what does that look like? And defining, all right, this is a coaching relationship, or this is a friendship. And where does that fit in? And where do I feel trust and safe enough to be able to reveal my authentic self, myself? Right. So
that's all about trust.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a tricky little path right there, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and like Brene Brown says, you don't have to reveal everything to everybody. You can decide.
Amen. Yeah.
You want to trust with your most private and personal information.
Right. And how do you navigate through that? Right. I mean, that's a tricky little venture,
Yeah,
So,
it's totally for sure. Well, I think all of these things that we brought up are so important to setting goals, because first of all, you need to decide what it is that you want, authentically, like not what your husband wants you to do, not what your boss or what your mother or what your friend. It's what you in your heart of hearts want.
Yes.
And then are you moving forward into that, right?
Right.
Right. And do you have roadblocks in the way of reaching those goals?
And oftentimes those roadblocks are ones we create on our own. We want to blame it and project it on to other people. And really, when we sit in it, we realize that we're the worst, captivators. We've captivated our own self, captured our own self and our own dreams for voices that, aren't even real. I think that's the tricky part, is that we're hearing voices that aren't even real. And I think that's
sure.
Yeah.
It's like your perception of, like, I had this epiphany when I was at the Summit of Greatness. Eric Thomas had spoken about giving yourself permission to live in your greatness, that the most important permission you give yourself is your own. And
Right.
I remember thinking, what if, somebody, your significant other or somebody in your life, you feel like they're holding you back. And
Right.
I was kind of down and out with my hamstring issue. So I didn't really want to ask a question. I just was hanging out on my crutches for dear life because it was 3 weeks after my surgery. So I was thinking of a question that I would have asked, but I didn't want to ask it.
Right.
So I'm like standing in this book line, but I'm not planning on asking him anything. So that question just kind of popped up in my mind. And then the answer came to me is, it's nobody holds you back but you, because you have to give someone permission to do that.
Right.
You have
Exactly.
you have to give them permission to hold you back. The only permission you really do need to move forward is your own.
And so, you and I, Linda, have a relationship. It's gone back a few years, right? So to be able to hear you say that with the smile and the freedom is so significant to me. And this is why I do what I do, because I remember the first time I met you and I remember exactly where you were sitting. And I remember looking at you and saying, yeah. Do you remember that? Right? So I kind of called you out.
Eyes sting a little.
Yeah. Well, I called you out a little bit because because I saw something in you and you were veiled and you were dimming. And I saw you right here, and I saw your yearning for more and your seeking and the fear of being exposed, maybe, so I mean, to be able to see the journey that you have over, the things that you've overcome, and stopping and being courageous enough to talk about them and sharing them with other people is an extraordinary power. So this is your show, but I have to just call you out and say, I'm just honored to see how you have so courageously moved through some really deep pain in order to show up and be all in with where you are. And, the fitness is just a conduit. I mean, look at you now in this format. I was there when this was just a concept, like, right. what if I could ever do this? Right. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Right. And how many people are going to be in the audience when you're speaking to thousands? How many thousands? Right. So this is the beautiful thing about being a coach, is to be able to hold the vision, because it's not my vision. My vision isn't to speak in front of thousands. That's cool, but it doesn't float my boat. I love it. I can do it. It's awesome, but it's not what drives me, but to be able to hear what people are saying without words, to hear you and see you, what's behind the words is powerful. And so I guess that just to bridge that is into like setting goals type of thing, is that if you are surrounded with your people that are smaller than you, if you're surrounding yourself with people that already think you're magnificent, right? No, you're fine. Stay here. You're making some choices that are going to limit your brilliance. And so I just would say, just the first thing to say is look around who surrounds you, and understand that they are a reflection. It's just like that quote says, you're a reflection of the 5 people closest to you. And when you move on from people that may be preventing you from really being all you came to be, you can let people go with love. And that's a lot of practice. That's a lot of what I do in my practice as a coach, because I do have a pretty large piece of my business is restorative work, and being able to free yourself from people with love and be able to say, this is my journey. I love you and I need to go here.
And sometimes having the compassion, really, though.
Absolutely. And the grace, right? And the grace.
Realize that they're telling their self-limiting beliefs, and that's why maybe they can't see your dream, but it doesn't matter if they can see your dream. It only matters if you can see your dream.
Yeah.
Because they're going to understand their own dreams. They may not understand your dreams, but I think if you keep living your dreams out loud, it eventually becomes clear to everyone. And I've had people that were maybe my worst critics, or I don't want to call them haters exactly, but
I know what you're
I
saying,
think they
right?
stand back and scoff,
Doubters.
like, who are you to, who do you think
Yeah.
you are?
Amen. Yeah.
To
Right.
be doing that. And then they come around because they see you're serious about it, and
Right.
it's a real calling on your life.
And then they call you and say, so how did you do that? Like,
oh my gosh,
like, I so admire you, right? So
Right.
just to everybody, all the listeners, just be clear.
Yeah.
You, by your sheer presence, are changing people's lives. By every step you take that's courageous, you're changing and affecting someone else's life. And I think that like living powerfully through my grief, I have gotten so many messages. I just weep with release and appreciation for being able to stand this strongly in the presence of my son, who was a brilliant, beautiful, kind, sweet person who, in all honesty, made a decision that I completely, bizarrely enough, respect. He was the most peaceful, most spiritual, loving person that I ever met. And so for me to lose that, how do I come to terms with that, right? And I think that that's part of the process. Like, how do I live in grace even in the darkest times? Even if like my own family of origin is messed up, that I'm okay. Okay? Did you hear that? My own family of origin is messed up because I'm healing. So understand the people around you when you're moving, when your train is pulling out of the station. And we can talk about goals. We can talk about anything like that. When you are living in your legacy, when you have made a decision that you are not going to accept anything else but your truth, everything falls away, and you're standing there like, boom, and then you take that one step. But trust that the right people are going to show up. And I think that's the important thing, Linda. And I know this has been true for you, that as you've grown in your work, how many people, and let's talk about this. When I asked you, when you're in a room and you're surrounded by people with who you want to meet, who are those people? That people that are famous in your mind's eye, that all of a sudden they're going to be on your speed dial. They all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, hey, right? What up, right? Hold the intention, right? Look, you're a perfect example of that. I freaking love that. I see pictures and I'm like, there she is. Woo!
Oh my gosh, you're killing me.
True.
Well, I think when you set the intention and you don't quit, that's the secret.
Yeah.
Things aren't always going to be easy, and you are on a journey. So you're going to learn a lot of lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
And, just you can't quit. If it's something within you and it's your purpose, you got to keep going. Like, because Kate always tells me there's people out there that are actually waiting for you to show up as yourself.
True. It's true, isn't it, Linda? It's true.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. And it's like, go. It's like the whole concept about the mustard seed. Like, you just have to have that little bit of faith that the right and perfect people are going to show up. Because I'm telling you right now, the loneliness that you're experiencing in your heart because you have settled for a relationship or a job or other people, you can be surrounded by people that love you and you're lonely because you're not living authentically to you. And you where's the burn? Where's the desire to have it be bigger? And if you're setting goals and you're blowing them off, it's not the right goal. I'm just going to be honest with you.
And you're going to resent them for it because you're giving up pieces of yourself for what?
Amen. It's so completely true. So, when we're talking about goals, I'm really more about adding some real value by adding tips, if that's chill. But like for me, the one tool that's really, we can talk tools because I think it's really important. We can talk about, hey, living your purpose and everything else. But if I, as a coach, don't provide you with action steps, I'm not serving myself. I can talk and preach and talk to, in front of thousands of people. But if I'm not saying, here's some tools, I'm not really adding value. So one of the things that I think is really important are daily habits. I've bought more damn journals and this is going to help me get organized. I have bad ADD, like super bad. And I'm a hot mess, 5 companies, like I'm crazy. And so really what's worked for me is not buying some book, doing some bullet journal, trying to organize my time. It's nothing about that. What's worked for me is creating the daily habits of things that are important to me. And I put it just on a Word doc. And every single day I made a list of now it's like 15 items. If I nail these things for 10 minutes a day, even meditating, praying, Writing's a big one, right, Linda? Getting that writing in.
I mean, your daily habits are what make up your life, so that's
exactly. Exactly. And if I find, what I've determined is that if I'm living my daily habits and I'm getting that 10 minutes of writing in, you know, whatever things that are important to me, the success level at the end of my day is huge, you know, and I think that has been the biggest game changer for me. So if you have some goals and choosing one in each area, like you want this hot and juicy relationship, let's set some micro goals on that. If you want that dream job, you know, if you want better relationship with your kids, there are action steps that you can take. And if you're living truly into your daily habits and living authentically in that, you'll be amazed at the level that how your day will shift and change. You know, it's been the biggest game changer for me in the last 2.5 months for sure.
Yeah, your daily habits are huge. I'm doing Mindset Reset with Mel Robbins.
Excellent.
And she talks a lot about your morning ritual. And so with the hamstring issue, I got to be honest, I am a morning person, and I always had everything going and rolling and popping, and people are just getting up, and I've like run 6 hours or something. I don't know, you know, I've just done a lot. Yeah.
You have born with a lot of exuberance.
But when this happened to me, you know, I felt like I fell off. I was at the top and fell off a cliff, and I'm clawing my way back up. And so I've just now really kind of gotten back to my morning routine, and I'm telling you, it is the secret, because my whole life is better when I get up. I, you know, have my little ritual, you know, my meditation. I've been meditating. That's one thing I added since listening to Mel, and just set the intention for the day. Get up and get moving. I don't care what it looks like. If it's a walk, if you're going to just do a jog, you're going to do some yoga, get up and get moving. That gets your juices flowing. And then eat something healthy. Breakfast is the easiest meal. And then the rest of your day just seems to go better, you know, and I feel like it just helps you set the tone for your year.
Yeah. And I also, one of my daily habits is actually setting an intentional word. And it really all depends on how I'm feeling in that day. Like today is about balance, or today is about, you know, invigoration. Today is about passion, you know, choosing that word where I feel like that's an inspiration. So at the end of the day, did I live that word? And, you know, how am I relating in all my relationships? Did I make an impact? One of my daily habits is having meaningful connection with people, positive, meaningful interaction. That may seem like no big deal, but that means I got to stop and I got to be present and I got to really listen. And I love that, but I have to track the meaningful connection. It's just it's one of my daily habits. And that would not be necessarily on everyone's daily habits. But for me, it's when I lay my head on the pillow, it gives my life meaning. So it's a big one.
Well, I think you got to stop, which is to be still. You got to look, you got to listen, because if you're running at the speed of light, you might be like me when I was at the Navy SEAL obstacle course and we had a GPS, and I was not running the GPS. I was just running.
Right.
And like we had all these hills and all this stuff. And I kept running past the place where the box was, and they'd be, Linda, come back.
Right.
They had the GPS, you know.
So you had to get, what was your lesson out of that?
So my lesson out of that is, if you don't stop, look, and listen, you might be missing things and running past them because you're moving too fast.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Isn't that's so symbolic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're all like busy. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes we're busy just to be busy. And I think some of that is also just a distraction from what you really should be facing in your life.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's why I think it's important to get still. And if it's uncomfortable, you need it more than you think, because that means you need to lean into that. You need to lean into that uncomfortableness, because that's where the magic is.
Right. It's true. It's the difference between being and doing. And I think that's part of what, you know, grief does, even what success does, is it knocks you down, you know, because when I built a multi-million-dollar company, my life changed because of people's perception of me, you know? So I had to be like, whoa, I had to be still in the knowing that things were different, but I had to pay attention and listen in. And you're not going to find that if you're doing. You have to be. What does being look like to you? And I used to be really uncomfortable with that. Now I'm so chill and just being, I think it's unnerving to people because I'm like, I have very high energy, but I'm extraordinarily laid back. I know that sounds really bizarre, but I'm not a type A. And I think people expect me to be a little bit more type A than I am. I'm actually quite chill. So, yeah. And I think it's the key to my success, in all honesty. I think that the reason why I've been so successful is I was a theater major. So I built a multi-million-dollar company, never took a business class. And the gift was that I knew how to be. I knew how to be still. I knew how to listen. I knew how to watch and hear what was behind words. Part of it is, I'm from a family of 9 children. So I had to keep my radar on about, oh boy, who's crabby? Or, it was a little bit insane with that many people. So I had really tuned in, as you mentioned, GPS. So what, listeners, what is your GPS tuned into? Are you on the right channel? And your channel is right here, right? What is your gut telling you?
Your gut, right?
Yeah, right.
Listening to that too, because 55% of our communication is nonverbal.
Amen. It's true.
Actually, I was listening to the statistics today. Only 7% of it is verbal. I forget what the rest of them were.
Something super low. So what do you think of that, right? When you think about that, it's pretty powerful.
Think about that, then you got to kind of like, one thing I have really been so convinced of is a woman's intuition is, and now, like, with this whole 55% of your communication is nonverbal, I'm like, well, that makes sense then why your intuition is a huge thing. And maybe it doesn't make logical sense to you,
right?
You picked up on all these nonverbal things that people are saying.
Right. And I think that has been the key to my success, in all honesty. And it's probably the same with you.
Coach.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's just being intuitive to who you're speaking to. Yeah. And, I don't know. I don't care if it's the janitor or the CEO.
Yeah.
They're all the same. They're all humans. So how are you tuning into the people that you think don't really need you, or don't need the help, or don't need to be heard? And to me, that's the best thing ever. It's like, being in the love, being in the presence of other people, it's the gift. And I make a ton of money in some areas of my life and I make nothing on the other, and it all comes out in the wash, so I feel extraordinarily,
it's your service, and
and it's all the same at the same time. So I think that's the part, that have faith that your legacy that you're building, because we talked about this, that 50 plus, something's going to knock you on your ass. Okay. Sometimes it's just a gentle tap, and sometimes it's the cosmic 2x4 off the head, right?
Forced rest.
Right. Forced rest with your hamstring. To tell you the truth, I was a little bit nervous for you. I kept checking in, going, how really are you doing? Right. Because I was very nervous, because you're a driver, right? And, me with the loss of my son. So, it is going to happen. You are going to take a hit. And my question to you is, how are you preparing for that? Because you can do all the good things and think everything's fine. You will experience loss. You will have to recalibrate the thinking on who you are in this world. And are you ready? And what are you doing to prepare yourself? And I think the number one thing, I'm just going to say it, it's self-care and self-love. Your self-loathing and beating yourself up for your imperfections is so damaging. And please find your way to find the people around you that are going to help you release that bondage, right? Because the cosmic 2x4 is, that's where it's going to hit you. It's going to hit you at the core of who you are and how you show up. And I'm here to love on you. Linda's here to love on you. And we're creating a community of other people to live authentically. Like you said with Brené Brown, let's define strength as being real and being authentic and being vulnerable, not afraid to be a hot mess. Because I'm telling you, I have been a hot mess since my son passed. And also the most peaceful person I know. Okay. So trust and believe that your reset is going to bring you to a place, if you're willing to live into your brilliance, and in ways that will it will awe you. It really truly will. It will.
Your loved ones would not want you to live in misery and to stop living.
No, absolutely not.
I think just it's not what you go through, but it's how you go through it. Like for me, I had to find new tools, because my tool was working out
Right. I know.
Whenever I needed to work out my problems,
I was,
ran.
I am serious, girlfriend. I was like, she is the most, like, I pale in comparison. I mean, I am a fit girl, but I pale in comparison to you. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, no, you can't say that. She is
yeah,
buff, you guys.
yeah.
But I was just like, that was what I ran to ever since I was a kid. And I will give that backstory because I think it's relevant. My mother grew up with manic depression, and they didn't want to put a label on it, but that's pretty much
Right.
like,
she wasn't available, Linda, to you.
and so she was very depressed and suicidal pretty much most of my growing up years. So I found fitness like pretty early. I knew that I didn't understand what was going on with my mom back then. Now I have a little more in touch with what what that is and how we could help others, when they're suffering from depression. But I just knew I didn't want to be depressed, and I didn't understand why she was depressed. And so once I found fitness, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I feel so great afterwards. It lifts your mood up no matter what. And so it was the way that I found to navigate any kind of sadness. And I always wanted to be everyone's cheerleader and everyone's motivator and lift everyone up, because I guess deep down, that was my solution to, it's just to help people to be happy.
Right.
Because if they're not happy, there's the other alternative, which I was seeing in my own household.
Exactly.
And so I think just it was my way of coping with, any kind of a problem. So when I sat back and this happened to me, I mean, I wasn't allowed to do anything.
Nothing.
And nothing. Oh. Not a zilch, not anything, not even.
Or risking serious harm. I mean, you really couldn't do anything.
Oh my gosh. And the doctor would pull his glasses down and look at me like that. Like,
and you're like, yes.
Like, how do you know? How do you know? And so, long story short, I learned other tools while I was down and out to navigate problems and situations. And, and I looked at it as, well, how did this happen for me? And what am I supposed to get out of it? And what is the gift? And why has this happened? And there were so many powerful things that happened to me during the time. I made powerful connections. I did something I wouldn't normally do, which was I read my book on Audible, which really brought it to life. And so I think if you can find the lesson in the pain, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And having to sit in it, like you had to sit in other things that, right. So when things come up, you got to work through it.
Right. So I couldn't run away.
Yeah, you couldn't run away, right? Symbolically. So you had to deal with the fact that what you grew up with, like, we have to welcome the things into the room that may not be pleasant. And we can love on those things, but we do have to welcome into the room. And
I will tell this is bad, but my husband and I got in an argument. And like, he would just not leave me alone. And I couldn't run away.
Run away.
I don't know why, you guys, I found my strength in that moment. I got up on those damn crutches and I was out the door down the street, and he was following me down the street because he was worried. He was worried.
Off she went. I think one time you took an Uber to the gym, if I remember. I think I saw a picture of you with your crutches in the Uber. So you got back in there.
Yeah. So it did motivate me to get back up.
It did. Absolutely. So, I just think it's important because we did talk about like the whole idea behind goals. And I just want to touch on that. We did talk obviously about the daily habits. The other piece is really just understanding your why. We talked about that and making it very, very specific. I just think that that's a really important piece of it. And again, I'm going to go back to it because I can't say it enough. How is it going to feel when you attained what you want? And who are you with? What are you doing? What does it smell like? Get into the texture of the experience, and don't settle for things that don't seem right, that don't smell right. And every no's a yes. Every no's a yes. So, you know, like just say, for example, we can talk about, well, for me right now, I have a couple books I need to finish. I have a book, obviously Living Sexy Fit at Any Age is one of the books that I wrote for Entrepreneur and been featured in PBS special and stuff. But what I'm working on right now, which is really my passion, is to help people build wealth and build abundance. So not only from a mindset standpoint, and not only from a heart set standpoint, but actually the tools to build wealth. And, you know, again, I didn't have any tools when I built my gold company. And so this is what I'm putting together. So it's requiring me to learn to be very uncomfortable. I'm extraordinarily uncomfortable with learning about stocks and options and all of the pieces of investment. But if there is a person that is, I will get it. And I'm going to teach people how to do it in really cool ways. So I'm taking an ebook that I wrote called Living Sexy Rich and The Secret Psychology of Wealth, and I'm merging those together. So I'm saying this out loud to people so that I'm being held accountable because I'm saying it out loud. And I'm looking forward to helping.
Set the intention first.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to partnering with the listeners to be extraordinarily wealthy. Because if I can do it, this ADHD theater major, you know, freak can build a multi-million-dollar company, and so can you. So let's set that intention that, you know, obviously health is wealth and wealth is health. So the core of it is a strong body and self-love. It really is. And then let's go from there. And you know, clearly I'm here if anyone has any questions. And Linda, I'm always here cheering you on like a big dog.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. So what are the steps then that you think people should take to set their goals for, you know, for their life, for their year, for, you know, like coming up, like, you know, like, do you have people do a vision board? Do you have them visualize? What are some of these steps that people can do?
Well, the tools that I use with people, because I think I'm an intuitive coach. So a lot of I have, you know, modules, and I'm prolific in the amount of material I create because I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to create and share information. So whether it's about making money, developing your brand, you know, health and wellness is really what I do. I mean, I write a column, a monthly column about health and wellness, but really I'm more passionate about helping people come live in an abundant lifestyle and live abundantly from the heart. So that's really the core of who I am. And oftentimes that requires a lot of restorative work for most people. You know, how do you join your business and your personal life so that it's prolific and prosperous? Yeah. But so I use the tools, which, as you know, the tools we use, creating, you're working on your IT statement, which is your value statement, which I referenced at the beginning. If anyone wants a copy of that, I'd be happy to send them that. The other piece is doing a strength finder. You know, this is a tool I've been using for a lot of years, and now it's being used in business schools and corporations. Gallup Strength Finder, you know, highlighting your 5 key operative strengths. Why we spend so much time in our culture focusing on shoring up our weaknesses is mind-boggling. You know, I know, like, I know yours, Linda. So, you know, really, where do you rock and roll? It's a $20 test. I'd highly recommend taking that. Really falling in love with where you're strong and functioning in the world where you are rock and roll. I'm an activator, number one. And so basically that means I'm a change agent. I come and say, let's go, right? Kate's here. Oh no. You know, so right. I embrace it, but I am here to ignite people to live in their greatness and to live authentically with passion and conviction. It's just who I am. I can't lie. That is who I am. And I want that more than anything for you. And so that's it. So the Strength Finder is tool number 2. And then really journaling is really important, making a list of the things that you want and why you want them, and breaking them down into micro goals. So I'll compete. I'll do a competition because I, like Linda, I also am a fitness, a bikini competitor, right? At 55, boom, boom, right? So that keeps me focused, right? So find a goal that's going to keep you focused. And if you are not gritty by nature, you can learn it. But what you need to do is you need to find a mentor, hire a coach, or get an accountability person that's going to hold you to the fire. Because you will blow more smoke up your ass about why you can't do things. And someone, you know, my kids, I'm not easy. I mean, my kids are not like me, but, you know, I just don't really settle for excuses. And I just can't. So just say that you don't want to, right? If you don't want to, but commit.
It's not a priority for you.
It's not a priority because time, you tell me you don't have time, I call bullshit on that, because we are so limited. I'm sorry, I swear, but we are so limited to thinking that things have to fit into a time box. And it's not true. Time can expand and constrict based on our belief system. It's the one thing that we know is actually extraordinarily malleable. But how best are you going to use your time, right? So, it really begins with that, and making a list of the things that you really want. And if you look at your list, I read this the other day, put a question mark after it, and then read it and say, the question mark is going to make you ask you why you want it. I want my net worth to be worth $3.7 million in 3 years. All right. That's what I want. Why do I want that? If I don't know why I want that, what are the possibility that I'm going to get that? I know why I want that. I know why I want that. So, know your why. And, and again, it comes back to really getting the people around you that are going to help you set your goals, and measurable. Yeah, it's measurable. You can measure it. All those things out there you hear over and over again, New Year's, resetting your goal. Let's talk about legacy building. Let's talk about what is it that you truly want? What are the stories that you're going to be telling at the end of your life in your rocker that are going to blow other people's mind? If you don't have the stories right now, I think it's about time you created them. That's
because life moves pretty fast, so you got to
grab
a hold of it.
And have some fun. I think that's the number one thing. The life is so serious, and there's a lot of heaviness and a lot of sadness and a lot of grief. And I believe that even in the heaviest of times, there is celebration and there's beauty. One of my dearest friends just passed away yesterday, and she's a beautiful person. And I still feel her. And I still, even despite the grief, I feel so much joy and blessing in it. And it's weird, but it's who I am now and how I operate in my life. And nothing can really affect that. There's peace here. And I'm a person that had a lot of deep self-loathing and self-doubt, because my light was not encouraged in my family of origin. It just wasn't, So.
Well, I just believe you shouldn't rob the world of your gifts, and that what you're talking about with the Strength Finder, it really equates down to your gift. Your gift is what you're good at, and you don't you're so good at it, it comes naturally, and you don't even realize it's a gift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're living in your gifts, you're living in your truth, and that's powerful.
And you're an activator too, if I remember correctly.
Activator.
So
activator, positivity, commander. I can't remember.
I think you're competition. Competition.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's one of them.
Maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, so you have rock stars. So fearlessness. So that's just who we are as people. Well, we're not going to knock you if you're like, don't live like that. We're just like, come for the ride. We want more people to come for the ride. We'll carry you. We can piggyback you. Let's have some fun. Let's live life all in. And it's pretty much who I am as a person. I'm not scripted in any means, in any stretch. It's authentically who I am. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not going to hide it to make other people not be intimidated by how powerful I am, how powerful I am as a sensual human being. It's like, I'm a woman with power, and it's beautiful. Right. And I'm here to embrace it.
I think we get taught, like, from an early age. I just remember getting spanked when I wanted to go barefoot.
Right.
And it was innate. I still go barefoot, guys.
Exactly.
I don't like to wear shoes. And so I would take off my shoes, I would get spanked. I would take off my shoes, I would get spanked. Well, we found out I had a strong will.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm just saying, like, that was kind of like getting spanked for being who I am.
Amen. Yes.
And so I think in life, a lot of times we are taught that it's not okay to be who we're showing up as. And that is a lie, guys. That is a lie.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So this girl likes to be barefoot, go surfing, and have the wind blow in her hair, and ride in convertibles, and I like adventure.
Yeah, exactly. And you finally have moved into this place where you can say it out loud, Linda. And I just got to call you out and say, it is beautiful to witness. I just sit back, I'm on my computer, I'm reading and watching your stuff, and I'm so full of appreciation to be able to see someone who's lit up and living on purpose as you are. It's really beautiful to see.
And you're right. It is messy sometimes, you guys. It's not all butterflies and sunshine and roses. It's, moving through to who you are. If maybe you weren't showing up as that because you were afraid, it's gonna, a few people, they're not gonna like it at first, but they're just gonna have to get used to it because there's no other way to be but you.
And the people that really are waiting for you, like we talked about, which I think is such a beautiful image, isn't it? That there are people that you don't even know that are waiting to love you and cheer you on. And they need you. There are people out there that need your enthusiasm, that need your unique gift. It may be different than Linda's and mine. Obviously it is.
Absolutely.
And what is yours? But what is yours? Please share it, right? Because like legit, there are people waiting for you. And the worst, I love this. I think I heard this from Les Brown, but it's like, where is the richest place in all the world, right? It's not Dubai. It's not, Manhattan. It's the cemeteries, right? Because people are dying with their dreams. And I would have to reiterate, don't die with your dreams inside.
And there are the naysayers. Like, this is just so, like, it just popped in my head. Like, when I wanted to podcast, I remember asking this gal, could I be on her podcast? And that I wanted to start my own podcast. And I was all enthusiastic. She's like, podcasting's not a thing anymore.
Oh.
And then it wasn't too long later, she was calling me up. How did you get a sponsor? How did you do this and this and this? And I mean, if I would have listened to her, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Exactly.
And then somebody told me speaking isn't scalable. And I thought, well, maybe not for you. Like, where's that fire within you? The fire to live your dreams, light it up. When someone tells you, oh, you'll never have a career in fitness, which I was told 30 some years ago.
Wow.
Where's that fire within that says, the hell I won't?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And when you think about what you had to go through to get there, or what, so I just, we got to be light bearers. And I think that's it, boy, you got to be light bearers, but you got to do your work. You absolutely have to do your work to get there.
Yeah. So you do have to fight for your dreams, guys. You do.
Yeah.
They don't just come to you. They don't. You can't just sit and wait and wish.
No.
You got to get out there, work, and go for it.
Yeah. And that's no matter what it is. Again, it's like prosperity. Is it, a healthy body, a hot, sexy relationship? It's up to you to define it.
Right.
And then,
you might like to just stay home with your kids. I mean,
right. I loved that.
Whatever.
I was totally chill being an at-home mom. That was
because that's important, and I wish more mothers did.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah. So Linda, what's up with you? Fill me in on what's going on with you. What's happening for you? What can we hold for you that's like new on the horizon?
Okay. Well, I'm opening the Sisterhood of Sweat next month.
So amazing. So exciting.
That was just once upon a time. What I was trying to remember if I think I had opened my studio around the time I met you.
Yeah.
I was opening it, and then I was thinking about writing a book. Now I've written 2 books, well, sort of. I helped with another, so 2 of my own.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The podcast, that was a thought. Now it's a reality. And now I have started speaking. I'm doing. I actually went to Toastmasters, and I got to tell you that.
Yay.
It was not what I thought. So it wasn't for me. Maybe I'll try another group, but it was like axe chopping.
It was pretty intense. It's pretty intense. It's not a free form. It's not a free form little business.
So guess where this girl ended up, and her husband signed up with her. I ended up at improv.
There you go. I love it. I love my theater girl. So Linda, I have to go because I have another call. So but I think
that's in my future. That's what.
Good. That's awesome. So let's just set the intention on that. And if anyone has any questions, you can find me at kate-mckay.com. And I'll be happy to help you with anything. Any of the listeners have any questions, and I'll be in touch with you soon.
Thanks so much, Kate. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks for listening. Great to hear everybody. Mwah.
Bye everybody.
Ciao.